is about politics. The disease is not about politics. The lockdown is. The lockdown is killing more people on Earth than the virus is.
Who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Dr. Simone Gold. I'm a board-certified emergency physician. That's my day job. And I'm also a Stanford-educated attorney. Please don't hold that against me.
I'll try not to. What brings you out here today? What's the message?
You know, what happened was I started getting very frustrated with the misinformation that the American public has. Maybe I shouldn't say misinformation. I would say just a lack of information. The story that the American people are not hearing, and especially, Fleccas, I think your audience of younger people, this is not a lethal illness for healthy people under 60. The data's all there at the cdc.gov. I've poured over it. And it's a shame to be depriving people of their liberty and freedom for an invalid reason.
As a physician, I can tell you, this virus is dangerous, but government tyranny is more dangerous. As a physician, I can tell you, we must protect the most vulnerable, but we must allow for maximum liberty for those that are at low risk.
It's one thing to quarantine old people. You know, my parents are old. They decided to self-quarantine. They don't love it, but it's not the same cost as it is to my children. My children, they're young, they're active, you know, they want to play sports, they want to see their friends, go to the fraternity. Locking down young people unnecessarily is a very different and harmful thing than locking down older people. This is not a disease that really hurts young people. Some diseases do, not this one.
We are grown up. We know death is part of life. It is tragic. Everyone is tragic, but the lockdown is not tragic. It's a catastrophe.
When I read the stories from these doctors, it breaks your heart. You know, there's cancer patients that can't get chemotherapy. I got a letter from one primary physician who couldn't see his patient for wound care, and the wound got really infected, and he needed a BKA, a below-the-knee amputation. Diabetics whose diabetes has gotten so out of control. The New England Journal of Medicine just published a letter to the editor that 40% of stroke patients went missing during the lockdown. It's, you know, these stories are heartbreaking.
1968, 1969, 100,000 Americans died of the flu that year. That's equivalent today to 165,000 Americans. Nothing closed down. Why did Americans not care about their relatives and friends and fellow Americans? Did they care about them less in 1968, 69? No. But we didn't have a 24/7 lying, hysterical thing called media.
Hydroxychloroquine is not a controversial drug. I know that your listeners will find that hard to believe because all they've heard about it is controversy. It's not a controversial drug. It's been FDA approved for 65 years. We give it to pregnant women. We give it to breastfeeding women. There are patients who take it for decades. In fact, the typical use of Plaquenil or hydroxychloroquine is for decades. This is not a controversial drug. And it wasn't controversial to me until the day after the president said it and the press went very ballistic over it. I really can't understand it to this day.
The experts are wrong. Hydroxychloroquine, when used early and combined with zinc, is an effective treatment, and that's why thousands and thousands of physicians around the country and around the world are using it and taking it themselves.
I don't love to talk about hydroxychloroquine so much because it's become such a political hot potato. But one of the reasons, or maybe the main reason I started down this path, was the resistance I got when I prescribed hydroxychloroquine. You know, for me as a doctor, I'm there really only for the patient. It's not a two-way street. I am there for the patient. So when I had to prescribe hydroxychloroquine to a couple of patients, I did it. And the next day, I got tremendous pushback. I was stunned. What's really disturbing about this, we got a letter, every California physician got a letter from the California State Medical Board essentially threatening us if we prescribe this medicine. It's very carefully worded. I'm happy to send you an email copy. But it says we have to be cautious about prescribing this. It could be construed as unprofessional conduct. That's enough to stop a doctor from being honest and truthful with the patient about what they need.
This is all media-driven. If you watch the news, you get scared. If you live a normal life, you are not scared. The task of the media and the Democratic Party is to have government control over your life. They don't deny it. They don't deny it. This is a freedom issue.
Don't take the media and government control and mandates, understand the Constitution. Like, start there. Understand the Constitution, understand how the human body works, and then go out and be a free, sovereign human being.
When we're told it's safe to line up at a liquor store and safe to line up at a marijuana dispensary, but not safe for us to line up to vote, there's something very, very wrong.
We have an absolute constitutional right to the freedom of speech, freedom of travel, etc. That is coming into conflict at the moment with the state's right for the police power to quarantine. So we've got these two rights. However, to abridge our constitutional rights, you have to have a very compelling interest. I don't believe that that's there. We have long-standing law that you can quarantine sick people, but there is no legal authority for quarantining healthy people.
Never in our history have we let criminals out of jail, but we have told citizens they cannot exercise their Second Amendment right to protect themselves by purchasing a firearm. Never again.
I'm very disturbed because I've got two teenage sons, and they're both in the California state school system, and they're not going to school in the fall, according to our governor. I find that very distressing. I ask the governor, please, to look at the science and look at the data and see that this is not a problem for young, healthy people.
Tens of millions of people around this country and millions in California have a hopeless future. They are robbed of their future, so people say, oh, you prefer stocks. You care about stocks and bonds over death. That's the reason you're here now? Is there one person here because of stocks and bonds?
And what's your message to Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti?
That there's no scientific justification for locking people down.
Open California?
Open California.
Very cool.
The mayor of this city and the governor of this state, there is no doubt in my mind, will go down as villains in American history. These are nothings. They are nothings with power. There is nothing worse than a nothing who gets power. So, my friends, God bless you for coming. And let me remind you, if anybody ever asks you, what does make America great again mean? Tell them we want to be the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Very cool. Thank you for talking.